The Earth year was 2398, and humanity had finally taken its first bold steps beyond the Milky Way, driven by a thirst for exploration and the relentless ambition to assert its place among the stars. For decades, the United Earth Space Agency, UESA, had been intercepting strange, fragmented signals that seemed to be artificial in nature. This led to the launch of the Pioneer, humanity's most advanced spacecraft, designed for deep space exploration and possible first contact scenarios. Captain Alara Miles stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, her gaze fixed on the star-studded void ahead. Her crew, a mix of seasoned astronauts and bright young scientists, shared a palpable mix of excitement and apprehension. They were about to venture into uncharted territory, following the mysterious signals to their source. As they approached the coordinates from which the signals were strongest, the ship's sensor suddenly spiked. Before anyone could react, a colossal fleet of alien spacecraft emerged from the darkness of space. They were sleek and menacing, their designs unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. The alien ships encircled the Pioneer, trapping it in a cage of unknown metal and glowing energy. The main screen on the bridge flickered to life, revealing the visage of the alien commander. His skin was a shimmering violet, his eyes large and unblinking, radiating an intelligence and confidence that bordered on arrogance. He spoke, his voice automatically translated by the ship's computers. "Primitive vessel, you have encroached upon the territory of the Zeltrax Confederacy," he announced. "Explain your presence or be prepared to face consequences." Captain Miles stepped forward, her voice steady. "We come in peace from the planet Earth. Our mission is exploratory in nature. We meant no intrusion into your space. We received signals and followed them here, hoping for dialogue." The alien commander mocked her explanation with a guttural laugh that echoed through the bridge. "Exploratory? You wander too far, human. Your technology is primitive, your kind insignificant. Do you even understand the risks of the void?" Ilara bristled at his tone but kept her composure. She knew that much depended on this interaction. Behind the scenes, her crew worked feverishly to gather as much data about the alien fleet as possible. Their technology was indeed advanced, but human ingenuity was nothing to scoff at. "We understand more than you might think," Ilara responded calmly. "We are learners, seekers of knowledge. There is much both our kinds could share. Cooperation is beneficial." The commander sneered, his reply dripping with disdain. "There is nothing you possess that we need, human. Your ship will be detained as a curiosity. Your technology studied, your crew interrogated. This is your only warning." As the alien transmission cut off, a heavy silence fell over the Pioneer. Captain Miles turned to her crew, her expression fierce yet inspiring. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. They may underestimate us, but we're not out of options. Let's show them what humans are capable of." The crew rallied to her call, readying themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead. The Pioneer might have seemed insignificant to the mighty Zeltrax, but its journey was far from over. Underestimated and mocked, humanity was about to demonstrate its resilience and cunning in the vast theater of the cosmos. As the ship readied its defenses, Captain Miles made a silent vow. The aliens had mocked them this once, but they would not do so again. She was determined to ensure that humanity's first encounter with alien life would not end in submission but in a demonstration of Earth's spirit and tenacity. And with that, the Pioneer braced itself against the might of the Zeltrax fleet, its crew united in purpose and ready to fight for their place among the stars. The situation was dire. The Pioneer found itself ensnared by the Zeltrax's tractor beams, its movements stifled by superior technology. Captain Alara Miles assessed her options quickly, her mind racing through scenarios. Her crew looked to her for direction, a testament to their trust and her leadership in the face of the unknown. "Engineering report," she called out, her voice a calm in the storm. "We have minimal control over propulsion, Captain. Their technology is damping our systems, but I think we can create a feedback pulse. It might give us a momentary edge," replied Lieutenant Harrow, his fingers dancing across his console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Do it," Alara commanded, turning her attention to the tactical officer. "Simmons, ready all defensive measures. As soon as we have control, I want us out of their grasp." As the engineering team initiated the pulse, A tense silence enveloped the bridge. The ship shuddered, lights flickering as a surge of energy coursed through its circuits. The alien fleet momentarily faltered, their grip on the Pioneer loosening. "Now!" Ilara shouted. The ship lurched forward, propelled by the desperate ingenuity of its crew. The Zeltrax, caught off guard, scrambled to recalibrate their systems. Ilara seized the moment, directing the ship into an asteroid field. The dense cluster of space rocks provided the perfect cover, forcing the Zeltrax to navigate more cautiously. The Pioneer weaved through the asteroids, its hull occasionally scraping against space debris, each collision a stark reminder of their precarious escape. "Keep us moving, but match the debris pattern," Ilara instructed her helmsman. "We need to blend in, make them think we're just another tumbling rock." The Zeltrax commander, undeterred, broadcasted his threat through the comms. "You cannot hide for long, humans. This is your final chance to surrender." Ilara ignored the threat, her focus entirely on survival. She glanced at the data streaming in from her science officer. "Any weaknesses in their fleet formation?" "Analyzing now, Captain," the officer responded, her eyes scanning the data rapidly. "Their ships have a delayed response when changing direction sharply. We could use that." "Prepare to execute a slingshot maneuver around the largest asteroid." Ilara plotted the trajectory. "Make it look like we're still hiding. On my mark, break away using the asteroid's gravity to boost our speed." The crew nodded, understanding the risk. The maneuver was dangerous, requiring precise timing and execution under immense pressure. The Pioneer aligned with the asteroid, its engines silent, drifting closer to the rock's massive gravity well. "Mark!" Ilara commanded. The engines roared back to life, the ship hurtling around the asteroid and slinging out of the field with increased velocity. The Zeltrax ships, unable to match the sudden change, struggled to turn and pursue. "We've got some distance, but they'll be on us soon," the helmsman reported, his relief mixed with anxiety. Ilara nodded, already thinking several steps ahead. "Set course for the nebula expanse. We'll lose them in the gas clouds." As the Pioneer darted toward the nebula, its crew weary yet resilient, Ilara allowed herself a moment to breathe. The immediate danger had been evaded, but the real challenge was just beginning. They had to learn more about the Zeltrax, find allies, and perhaps, in the nebula's veiling mists, find a way to turn the tide. The nebula loomed ahead, a swirling mass of colors and possibilities, promising either salvation or doom. The nebula expanse enveloped the Pioneer in its dense iridescent clouds, casting the bridge in eerie, shifting hues. Captain Ilara Miles monitored the navigation panel closely, aware that each sensor blip could be an enemy ship or a natural phenomenon of the unpredictable nebula. "Keep the emissions low. Maintain passive sensors only. We don't want to broadcast our position," Ilara instructed, her eyes never leaving the forward view, where shapes and shadows moved mystically through the fog of gases. Dr. Lena Hart, the ship's chief scientist, approached Ilara with a tablet in hand. "I've been analyzing the nebula's composition. There are pockets of ionized gas that could temporarily disable our systems if we're not careful. However, these same pockets could cloak us even from the Zeltrax sensors." "Plot a course through those pockets," Ilara decided swiftly. "It's risky, but it's our best shot at staying hidden." As the Pioneer maneuvered delicately through the nebula, the external pressures and electromagnetic disturbances played havoc with the ship's instruments. The bridge crew worked in tense silence, punctuated only by the occasional order or status update. Suddenly, a proximity alarm blared, and a large, shadowy figure loomed ahead. It was not a ship, but a derelict space station, long abandoned and half swallowed by the nebula. Ilara saw an opportunity. "Take us in closer," she commanded. "Harrow, see if you can get us docked. That station might have resources or data we can use." The docking was a precarious affair, with the Pioneer's external lights cutting through the nebula's soup to reveal the station's battered structure. The crew donned their suits and prepared for a potential EVA to explore the station. Inside the station, Ilara led a small team through corridors choked with the dust of ages and the faint, ghostly echoes of its past occupants. They reached the control room, where Lena attempted to boot up the ancient systems. "I've got something," Lena exclaimed after a tense hour of work. "It's a logbook. Seems this station was a research facility studying deep space anomalies and advanced propulsion." "Anything on the Zeltrax?" Ilara asked, her voice echoing slightly in the hollow space. Yes, there's mention here of encounters with the Zeltrax Confederacy. It seems they've been a regional power for centuries, avoiding the more populated sectors of the galaxy. Lena read out loud from the flickering screen. And there's technical data here. Diagrams and theories about their propulsion and shield technologies. Ilara's mind raced, formulating a plan. Download everything. It might give us the edge we need. Back aboard the Pioneer, the crew analyzed the data, uncovering critical insights into the Zeltrax technology. They discovered vulnerabilities in the alien fleet's shield harmonics, specific frequencies that could disrupt their shields temporarily. We can modify our weapons to exploit these frequencies, suggested Lieutenant Harrow, his tone cautiously optimistic. Ilara approved the modifications, knowing this knowledge was a weapon in itself. They worked around the clock, retrofitting the Pioneer's systems to harness the newfound vulnerabilities of their pursuers. As the ship prepared to leave the safety of the nebula, Ilara gathered her crew. This information changes everything. We're not just survivors, we're contenders now. Let's take the fight to them. The Pioneer slipped away from the station, armed with new knowledge and a renewed sense of purpose, ready to challenge the might of the Zeltrax Confederacy. They were no longer outcasts, stumbling through the dark. They were warriors stepping into the light, their resolve as bright and formidable as the stars themselves. As the Pioneer emerged from the nebula, the cosmos unfolded before them, a vast expanse speckled with the cold fires of distant suns. Captain Ilara Miles reviewed the modified schematics of their weapons and shields, a steely determination setting in. The data stolen from the derelict station had provided them with a tactical advantage, but turning that into a successful offensive required precise execution and a bit of the unknown, luck. "All right, team, let's go through this one more time," Ilara began, addressing her crew in the strategy room. "Our modified torpedoes are set to disrupt the Zeltrax shields using the frequencies we discovered. It won't drop their shields entirely, but it should create enough of a window for us to strike at critical systems." Lieutenant Harrow chimed in. "The simulations show a 70% effectiveness rate in shield disruption, but we'll have only about a minute before their systems recalibrate." "That's all the time we'll need," Ilara assured him, turning to face her tactical officer Simmons. "Once their shields flicker, target their propulsion systems. I want them immobile." Simmons nodded, his expression one of focused resolve. "We'll be ready." The Pioneer set a course toward the last known coordinates of the Zeltrax fleet, using the cover of asteroid fields and the remnants of cosmic dust clouds for concealment as they moved closer to their target. Meanwhile, Dr. Lena Hart and her science team worked to bolster the ship's defensive capabilities. "We've managed to enhance our shield matrix with a similar frequency modulation," Lena reported. "It should help us absorb some of their firepower if they get a lock on us." As the alien fleet came into sensor range, the tension on the bridge of the Pioneer was palpable. The Zeltrax ships, formidable as ever, patrolled the sector, unaware of the looming threat. Ilara gave the order, and the Pioneer burst from its hiding spot, its engines flaring as it closed the distance to the alien fleet. "Fire the modified torpedoes now!" Ilara commanded. The torpedoes streaked across space, their trails glowing against the blackness. As they impacted the Zeltrax shields, a visible distortion rippled across the surface of the alien vessels. The shield's usual luminescence flickered and dimmed. "Direct hit!" Simmons confirmed, his hands flying over his console as he targeted the now vulnerable ships. "Propulsion systems locked! Firing all cannons!" The Pioneer's cannons roared to life, sending a volley of high-energy plasma toward the immobilized Zeltrax ships. The blasts hammered their propulsion units, causing secondary explosions and crippling their ability to maneuver. "Return fire detected," the helmsman called out, swerving the Pioneer as it dodged incoming fire. The enhanced shields held, absorbing the energy assaults with more efficacy than before. Ilara kept her eyes on the tactical display, noting the chaos they had sown amongst the Zeltrax fleet. "Keep them on their back foot, don't let up! Harrow, ready another volley of modified torpedoes!" As the second wave of torpedoes launched, Ilara felt a grim satisfaction. They were no longer just defending themselves. They were dictating the terms of the conflict. The Zeltrax, realizing the ferocity and newfound tactical acumen of their opponent, began to retreat, their command ships broadcasting calls for reinforcements. But the damage had been done. The Pioneer had disrupted their operation in this sector and demonstrated that humanity was not to be underestimated. "We're pushing them back!" Simmons exclaimed, a rare smile breaking across his focused demeanor. Ilara allowed herself a brief nod of approval. "Maintain pressure, but be ready to pull back. We've made our point." As the Pioneer harried the retreating Zeltrax ships, Ilara knew that this battle was just the beginning of a larger conflict. But for now, they had achieved a significant victory. This engagement had proven that the human spirit, armed with ingenuity and courage, could hold its own in the galaxy. The crew of the Pioneer had not just survived. The aftermath of the skirmish left the Zeltrax fleet scattered and their command structure in disarray. Captain Ilara Miles studied the sensor readouts closely, tracking the movements of the retreating alien ships. Their bold offensive had granted the Pioneer a brief respite, and she intended to make the most of it. "Assess all damage and begin repairs immediately," Ilara instructed her crew, her voice echoing slightly in the now quiet bridge. "I want a full diagnostic of our systems within the hour. We need to be ready to move at a moment's notice." The crew sprang into action, repairing the minor damages the Pioneer had sustained. Their efficiency was a testament to their rigorous training and the gravity of their mission. Meanwhile, Ilara and her senior staff convened to discuss their next move. "We've bought ourselves some time, but the Zeltrax will regroup faster than we anticipated," Ilara began, analyzing the tactical data streaming in. "We need to capitalize on this momentum. Suggestions?" Lieutenant Harrow proposed a daring plan. "We could use their current disorganization to our advantage. A series of hit-and-run attacks could further deplete their resources and morale." Simmons weighed in. "That could work, but it's risky. We'd be spreading ourselves thin, and if they catch on, we'd be vulnerable to a counterstrike." Dr. Lena Hart, always the voice of reason, suggested an alternative. "What about seeking allies? There must be other civilizations in this sector that have had run-ins with the Zeltrax. Maybe it's time we expand our network." Ilara considered this carefully. "Lena has a point. We need more than just a battle strategy. We need a coalition. Let's put out feelers to any nearby systems. Use the old research station's logs as a starting point. They had communications with other entities before they were abandoned." The decision made, the Pioneer set its course toward the closest system known to have previous interactions with the Zeltrax. The ship hummed through space, its crew alert and watchful. Upon entering the system, they were quickly contacted by the planetary defense forces of a civilization known as the Axiol. The Axiol, wary but intrigued by the humans' recent victory, agreed to a meeting on neutral ground. Ilara, accompanied by her top advisors, took a shuttle to the Axiol homeworld. They landed on a sprawling metropolis that glittered with advanced technology and bustling life. The Axiol leaders, tall beings with translucent skin and bioluminescent veins, greeted them with a cautious diplomacy. "We are aware of your conflict with the Zeltrax," the Axiol's primary leader, Varix, stated. "Your actions have stirred the currents of power in this sector." Ilara was straightforward. "We seek allies in our stand against the Zeltrax. Alone, we're at a disadvantage, but together, we could ensure they no longer threaten any of us." Varix considered her words, his gaze thoughtful. "Your proposal is bold, human. The Zeltrax have been a thorn in our side for generations. Perhaps it is time for that to change." The meeting extended over hours as they hashed out details of a tentative alliance. The Axiol were strategic thinkers, their considerations deep and thorough. As Ilara headed back to the Pioneer, she felt a cautious optimism. The seeds of an alliance had been sown, promising a shift in the galactic dynamics. Her crew welcomed her back, eager for news. "We've started something here," she shared with them, a faint smile crossing her lips. "Let's ensure it." With the potential alliance with the Axiol forming a cornerstone of their strategy, the crew of the Pioneer felt a renewed vigor. Captain Ilara Miles noticed the shift in morale. Her team was more engaged, their tasks infused with a sense of purpose. The negotiations with the Axial had not only opened the possibility of partnership, but it also validated the human presence in this distant sector as a formidable force. "Let's consolidate our data on the Zeltrax positions," Ilara instructed her tactical team. "We need to understand their movements and predict their countermeasures. They will be looking to reclaim their dominance quickly." As they strategized, messages from the Axial confirmed their willingness to share intelligence, a significant development. The data provided insights into the Zeltrax supply routes and key tactical outposts. Armed with this information, the Pioneer could plan more effectively, striking where it would hurt the Zeltrax the most. Dr. Lena Hart worked closely with the Axial scientists to integrate their technology with human systems, enhancing the Pioneer's capabilities. "We've adapted some of the Axial shielding techniques," Lena reported. "It should give us a better chance of withstanding Zeltrax firepower." "Excellent work, Lena. Let's keep pushing the boundaries," Ilara responded, her mind already on the next phase. The Pioneer soon found itself at the heart of a growing coalition. Other species, once hesitant, began reaching out, drawn by the success of the human Axial talks. Each new ally brought their strengths, whether in manpower, resources, or intelligence, weaving a tapestry of unity against a common foe. A strategic meeting was called aboard the Pioneer, now serving as the command center for coalition forces. Representatives of each species gathered, their diverse forms a reminder of the galaxy's richness and complexity. "We have a unique opportunity," Ilara addressed the assembly. "Together, we can challenge the Zeltrax and create a balance in this sector that respects all our peoples." The plan was set for a coordinated strike against the primary Zeltrax armory, a site that supplied much of their fleet's weaponry. It was heavily fortified, orbiting a dead moon in a sector teeming with patrol ships. "Each fleet will have specific roles," Ilara outlined. "Distraction, defense, assault. We play to our strengths, and we cover each other's weaknesses." The day of the assault arrived. Space around the armory buzzed with activity as coalition ships took their positions. The Pioneer, at the forefront, led the charge. The Zeltrax, caught off guard by the scale and coordination of the attack, scrambled to mount a defense. Torpedoes and energy beams crisscrossed the starlit battlefield, a dance of destruction and precision. The Pioneer's guns blazed, targeting the armory's shields while Allied ships engaged Zeltrax defenders. Simmons, monitoring the battle's progress, shouted over the din, "Shields are down, the armory is vulnerable. Send in the boarding parties, secure that armory," Ilara commanded, her voice resolute amidst the chaos. The battle raged, but the tide had turned. The coalition's forces, unified and determined, overwhelmed the Zeltrax defenses. The armory was secured, dealing a significant blow to the Zeltrax fleet's operational capabilities. In the aftermath, the coalition celebrated their victory. The success of their joint operation had laid the groundwork for a lasting alliance, promising a new era of cooperation and mutual protection. Ilara stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, watching as repair crews attended to the battle scars. The galaxy remained a perilous place, but with their new allies, humans stood ready to meet whatever challenges came next. The Pioneer, once a lone explorer, was now a symbol of galactic unity and human tenacity. As peace talks began, Ilara knew this victory was just the beginning of a new chapter for humanity among the stars.